गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Is it 14th? I forgot. I think it is 14th. Now where is the date? Just a minute. Yeah. Yes, it is 14th Sunday. So Gita only. Shanai Shanairuparameth. Shanai Shanairuparameth Buddhya Dhritigrihitaya. 6th chapter. Okay, we are discussing the 6th chapter. Shanai Shanairuparameth Buddhya Dhritigrihitaya. So gradually, Shanai Shanai gradually nasahasa, and not in one stroke. Sahasa means in one stroke, not in suddenly in one stroke, but gradually. Uparamet, one should withdraw. Uparamet, withdrawing or dissolving. One should dissolve by understanding. Okay, dissolving means what appears as a separate, trying to include it. It is like smaller circle is included in a larger circle. Okay, and that larger circle is included in further bigger circle. Like this, you include them or dissolve them. Like the snake is dissolved in the understanding, in the thought of rope. In the thought of rope, the thought of the notion of snake is dissolved in the notion of, in the awareness of rope. The notion of snake is dissolving means understanding it as not separate from it. Okay, understanding it as not separate from it. So Shanai Shanai Uparamet, gradually should withdraw, should include, should dissolve, or should understand them as not separate from this. Shanai Shanai Uparamet Buddhya, with a Dhritigrihitaya, with a buddhi which has got a dhruti. Dhruti means a conviction. Dhruti means a kind of courage. Okay, courage means here a consistently holding on to something. Courage means consistently holding on to thing, not losing patience and dropping it, neither slackening the efforts nor losing interest. Okay, neither slackening interest nor losing interest, because meditation in the particularly nididhyasana needs a lot of patience. In fact, it is all patience. It is all patience. Just observing without any strain. In fact, people are willing to work, but remaining without work is more difficult. Remaining just sitting silently without doing anything for a long time, for half an hour, even 1 hour is difficult. And this is what you need. Consistently, just to remain there alone. Remain with your consciousness. When the mind is, and whatever thought that arises, see that the thought is already part of consciousness. Okay? Shanai Shanairuparamit. Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. Dhriti means a sattvika courage. Courage, generally, we say courage is required to apply your will. To work, to do something, you need courage. Okay? Generally, to do something, you need courage. Here, the courage you require is a silent courage, a passive courage. Passive courage, yeah. It is a passive courage. And a silent but consistently holding on to it. Not wavering, not yielding to it easily. Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya. Patiently you have to do it. Again, again. Therefore, here the courage means a silent patience. Without losing patience. Continuous application without losing patience. Therefore, Dhriti Grihitaya, then what should we do? Atma samstham manah kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. Here, Swamiji refers to one vakya. In 147, I mean in my book, so you don't need that page number. In Brahma Sutra Bhashya, first adhyaya, fourth pada, and the first sutra. What is the sutra? Anumanikam appye kesham iti chet na. Shari ad anumanikam appye kesham. In that sutra, at the end of the sutra, this there is a Kathopanishad mantra commented by Bhashyakara. It's a very beautiful commentary. See, Yachedvang Manasi Prajna. This is a Yachedvang, idi Yogandar illi nodi, Vaishnavasya Paramapadasya Duravagamatva Mukta Tad Avagamartam Yogandarshayati. He is showing a yoga. Yoga means a meditation. This is a Nididhyasana type of meditation. This is Nididhyasana. Avagamartam. This Nididhya, it is Nididhyasana for Avagama, for gaining an Anubhava Rupa Jnanam. He is presenting here that Kathopanishad is a Kathopanishad shows one mantra, gives one mantra, which is a beautiful mantra for Nididhyasana. Shanai Shanai Ruparamet. To do gradually, to dissolve the external things and merge into. Merging means by knowledge, falsifying by knowledge, not simply merging the thought. It is what you say, falsifying the thought. So he gives a sequence. Shanai Shanai means gradually. Gradually means what is the sequence, what are the steps. Rather than the sequence, let us say what are the steps. It gives certain steps. For example, Yachedvang Manasi Prajnaha. A Prajnaha, a meditator, a Nididhyasakaha. Prajna is a Nididhyasakaha. Why we call Prajna? Because he has done Shravana, Manana and has come. So he has the inwardness and he has done Shravana, he has done Manana. So he has got a sufficient inner inner outlook, sufficient inwardness, not inner outlook, inner inwardness. A prajnaha who has got sufficient inwardness, gone deeply inside to be able to understand the truth, and such a person, yachet vang manasi prajnaha tadyachet jnana atmani, jnanamatmani mahati niyachet tadyachet shanta atmani. He gives vak into mind, mind into jnana, buddhi, buddhi into mahat, mahat into shanta. 5 steps he gives. Is it 5? Vang manasi first, mind into buddhi, buddhi into mahat, mahat into atma. 4 only, not 5. 4 steps. See, on these 4 steps, Bhashyakara does a brief commentary. That let us contemplate. Let us take this as a nididhyasana. In fact, there are certain shlokas for nididhyasana. Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham. These days, people take this shloka and chanting it, singing it as a stotra. It is not. It is. So in the 4 steps, he should do contemplation. Vacham manasi sanyachet. So vak, he should, samyachet means vagadi bhashendriya vyapara mutsrujya manomatrena. Samyachet means sanyamanam kuryat. Sanyamanam. This sanyamanam word is used in Gita also. In Gita only. In 5th chapter, where is the Gita book? Do I have? I'll show you. Sanyamanam, in 5th chapter also, dharana dhyana, something like that. There sanyamanam is told. Sanyamanam is withdrawing. Okay, or self-control. Now he says, first step is the speech should be dissolved or controlled, brought under the control of mind. Speech should be brought under the control of mind. It is not simply controlling. Controlling means, generally controlling means, when the, first let us take speech means, we shall read out this Sutra Bhashya portion, Brahma Sutra Bhashya portion. For a nididhyasana, it contains 4 or 5 vakyas, 4 or 5 sentences. This is a very best nididhyasana. So these days people, I was talking, Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. They are using like a lullaby. If you just read out, if you just listen to that song-like thing, your mind gets relaxed. They are using it for simply relaxing. But that shlokas are meant, the meaning of the shloka is in nididhyasana. People take the shlokas and sing with a tune and listen to the tune without understanding the meaning. They enjoy the tune slowly. Chidananda rupas shivoham shivoham. Chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. So you enjoy the tune, the music, you pay attention to it, it relaxes your mind. That is simple relaxation. Then it becomes only dharana. According to the tune, paying attention to the tune, it is a soothing tune, it soothes your mind, it is simply dharana. Relaxes and it soothes your mind, but that is simply a relaxation. That is not nididhyasana. And you have to pay attention to the meaning. But the meaning you can't understand unless you have done Shravana and Manana. Unless you have done Vedanta Shravana and Manana, you can't do nididhyasana. And the Shravana Manana also will be fruitful only if you have a Vairagyam And if you are a mumukshu, you want to really become free from samsara and want to understand your Atma and want to become free from adhyasa, then only all that works. Otherwise, nididhyasana, don't play with nididhyasana and don't think that nididhyasana is just a play, we enjoy and do these things. Because we see people coming here talking nonsense. The fellow who doesn't know anything and he wants to learn nididhyasana. He thinks just mind is disturbed under tension. Just relaxing the mind, relieving the tension is called nididhyasana. This is what they think. Anyway, they just don't know. That's what they do. Anyway, we leave them. So we come to our Vedantins, nididhyasana. So Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, that shlokas, that stotra is meant for really nididhyasana. It's an excellent nididhyasana shlokas. Even those shlokas also can be used. So there are certain nididhyasana shlokas in the books. In Vivek Chudamani, there are nididhyasana shlokas. Beautiful number of shlokas. In Upadesha Sahasri, Gadya Bhaga, the third chapter is purely nididhyasana. And then some of the stotras of Shankaracharya, they are called stotras, but they are all small prakaranas, like Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. This, and there are few more small shlokas are there. They are also meant for nididhyasana. They are very useful for nididhyasana. Here in the Sutra Bhashya, there is one section, a small portion, a commentary on this mantra, Kathopanishad mantra. This will take as an example, so that how we can do nididhyasana with the help of any other shloka, any other thing, you will understand it. Now you see, Vacham Manasi Sanyachet. Vak should be dissolved into the mind, brought under the control of mind. Here, it is not simply bringing under the control, bringing the speech under the control. First, let us take speech. Speech means, Vak means all sense organs, all karmendriyas, all jnanendriyas. Vak symbolizes, or it is a representative of all sense organs. Okay, that means you bring all 5 sense organs under the control of mind. Now, control, here it is not control, it is nididhyasana, it is not simple dharana. In control, you may do that. In control, the very functioning of the sense organs are brought under the control of mind, that's all. But here it is not simply functioning of the sense organs alone. Functioning of the sense organs alone is not brought under control of the mind. It is the entire sense organs themselves are debunked, negated. Sense organs are negated in the mind, negated or dissolved in the mind. The very existence of the sense organs is negated. See the difference. In nididhyasana, you are not simply bringing the sense organs under control, understanding that they don't exist apart from mind. Therefore, he interprets Vacham Manasi Sanyachet. To this, Bhashakara interprets Vagadi Bhashendriya Vyapara Mutsrujya. Having given up, means the sense organs cease to function. That means eyes don't see, ears don't hear, the sense of touch doesn't feel the touching. Then smell doesn't smell, and also taste you don't feel. So all the 5 sense organs, Vyapara Mutsrujya, they drop their functioning. Manomatrena avatasthi. Not only they drop their functioning, they themselves cease to exist apart from the mind. So sense organs become one with the mind. That means sense organs individually function. So sense organs know their objects, like eyes know the object, like color and form, color or shape. And ears can hear the sound. The touch feels the hot and cold. So what we do is see It is the mind, or mind means a thought, a notion. It is one consciousness alone, a thought alone behind all the sense organs. It is the same consciousness functioning as 5 sense organs. Understand that in all the sense organs, the mind is one. Because when you perceive through your eyes, the perception forms a thought in your mind, a sensations. The sensations form a thought in the mind. See that all your sensations of the sense organs are part of the mind. It is mind alone is divided into 5 sense organs. In fact, it is one mind. One mind. Okay? That means you see it as a one individual consciousness. Okay, mind means individual consciousness. One individual consciousness are the sensations. Sensations of the sense organs are part of the mind. In fact, it is mind alone. See that you are only mind. Matrena mano matrena avatishtet. Then all the sense organs leave their individual identity and become one with the mind. This you have to watch carefully, slowly, just to see that all sense organs mean nothing but mind alone. Then the manopi vishaya vikalpabhimukam vikalpadosha darshanena jnana shabdoditaya. So all the sense organs become one consciousness, one mind alone. Yet mind is still facing outside. The mind is facing means mind is inclined towards outside. Because mind is an individual mind. An individual mind, it has stopped the function of the sense organs, but external inclination remains. Okay. Now the next step is the very external inclination of the mind, manopi vishaya vikalpabhimukam. The mind, see, external sense organs are stopped, but the mind is still thinking. Imagining. Thinking means mind is imagining the external things. Although sense organs stopped functioning, functioning means direct perception stopped, but mind is imagining. And he says the imaginations of the mind. So, manopi vishaya vikalpabhimukam vikalpa dosha darshanena jnana shabdoditayam buddhau adhyavasaya swabhavayam dharayet. That mind which is an imaginative. So, sense organs are not functioning, but mind's predilections, that means mind's imagination, recalling and imagination, old recalling and imagining into future. Mind tends to imagine and recalling. That imaginations of the mind also should be brought under the control of consciousness. So the mind is nothing but consciousness. Consciousness means a thought, one individual mind. That means the individual thoughts become into one mind. All individual inclinations, imaginations merge into consciousness. That is called buddhi. Buddhi is simple consciousness. Okay? How to do that? Vikalpa dosha darshanena. Anything you imagine, vikalpa dosha darshanena, by showing defect in any imagination. Any imagination you entertain, it is only external world alone. Still you relate, still you remain in the dvaita of jnatrugneya. So, why this unnecessary imagination? Any imagination divides me, puts me into jnatrugneya duality. And this duality is only a hurting. Hurting means it keeps you away from real nature of Atma. Therefore, that first sense organs stop external functioning, then the mind stops imagination, and the mind is seen as consciousness alone, a conscious thought. So mind is an imaginative thought. Imaginative thought is reduced into one conscious thought. Okay? Manopi Vishaya Vikalpa Bhimukam Vikalpa Dosha Darshanena. How can we do that? By showing how imaginations, wild imaginations, imaginations about tomorrow, let me do either recalling or imagination. Two things are there. You keep on recalling the old experiences or imagine more new experiences. So by dropping these imaginations and recollections, you keep the mind in a conscious state. The whole mind becomes a one conscious thought. That means you stick to the consciousness of the mind, consciousness of intellect, then we call it intellect. You stick to the consciousness without lending, without allowing it to imagine or recall. Don't allow any imaginations, because any imagination is only taking you away from yourself, away from the consciousness. So remain in the consciousness. Don't allow your mind to imagine things. That means stop the very imaginations, stop the very recollections of various thoughts. So here what we are doing is various thoughts are merged into one conscious thought. Okay? Then what you do is you remain in the present, because the past is recollections, future is mind is imaginations. Now you don't allow imaginations, don't allow the recollections. Live in the present conscious moment. Okay? Live in the present conscious thought. A conscious thought. Live in the consciousness. Consciousness. That consciousness is not any given thought. That means you are not imagining. You are not recalling. Just remain conscious. Remain conscious. So the mind's habit of imagination, because when mind nothing else to do, keeps on imagining, that imaginative thought of the mind is stopped. Take some time. Allow to remain a conscious thought, conscious mind, conscious mind, conscious, conscious. Remain there. Whenever mind runs into imagination, bring it. All these wild imaginations are in the consciousness. So bring it and again keep it in the consciousness. So for here what we need to do is a relaxed approach, a gradual relaxed approach. Don't allow it to imagine, just to be a conscious entity, a conscious entity. Just to remain, enjoy being conscious, enjoy being conscious. Therefore he says, Vikalpa Dosha Darshanena, by showing the defects in imagination, imaginations and recalling, how these imaginations and recalled things are false, because past is already over and future is only unnecessary. Why do you imagine? Because out of restlessness. Remove the restlessness. Relax. Enjoy the present conscious state. Therefore, Jnana Shabdoditayam Buddhyav Adhyavasaya Swabhav. Adhyavasaya means a conscious thought. It is a conscious thought. That conscious thought is a jnanam, not an imagination. Therefore, it is a jnana shabdoditayam. It is called jnana because in the Kathopanishatu mantra, he says, Yachet tadyachet jnane jnana atmani. Jnana atma means buddhi. Jnana atma means buddhyatma. Buddhyatma is adhyavasaya. Adhyavasaya is a conscious thought. Mind is wild imagination or recalling. Mind is imagination. Buddhi is a conscious thought. Conscious thought is buddhi. Therefore, keep your mind from imaginations and keep it in a conscious thinking, conscious thought. Okay. Now next comes tamapi jnanamatmani mahati niyachet, and tamapi buddhim. Even that conscious thought, merge it into. Merge means merge it into a collective consciousness. Mahati Atmani, he says. Mahati Atmani bhoktari agrayam va buddhau sukshmatapadanena niyachet. Then merge that individual conscious mind, conscious thought into wakeful consciousness, entire waking consciousness, that individual intellect, individual conscious thought, you understand it is inseparable from the whole wakeful consciousness, whole waking state, which means the entire world. Okay? The entire world. So here we merge the individual consciousness into the entire wakeful state, entire waking consciousness. That means don't come back to individuality, individual thought. Don't come back to individual thought. Let individual thought merge into large consciousness. The whole state is consciousness. Whole waking state is consciousness. So that means you give up your location, idea of location. That means you do, see, when you feel that you are here, the thought of location, the thought of time. Okay? If you have a thought of location, that means a point of space and point of time. Dissolve the point of space and point of time. That means dissolve the space and time. Earlier we have dissolved objects. By dissolving sense organs and mind, we dissolved the objects. Now, in the samashti, when you say Mahadatma, you are dissolving that individual mind, individual thought into collective thought. That means a total wholeness. Wholeness means you drop your idea of location, that I am here. The thought of here, the thought of space, point of space and point of time dissolves. That means the idea of time and space dissolves. The idea of time and space dissolves. You become a large consciousness. All consciousness alone. The time and space dissolves. Okay? Then, Bhoktari agrayam va buddhau samadhi paripakacha. Buddhau sukshmata padanena niyachet. By making it sukshma. Sukshma means making it larger. An individual consciousness, individual conscious thought merges into a lot. That means thought and consciousness. Conscious thought, when we say, instead of, see, conscious and thought are the two aspects. So the thought aspect you ignore, pay attention to the consciousness of the thought. Therefore, the thought aspect dissolves and the conscious aspect remains. The thought aspect you ignore and only consciousness remains. Is a vast consciousness. Vast conscious feeling you have. You feel that you are a vast consciousness. Okay? But even then, that is a large thought. It is a collective thought. It is a holistic thought. It is a holistic thought of whole wakeful state. It is a thought of the entire state. Okay? That should be dissolved. That should be dissolved in the next step. Mahantam tu atmanam shante atmani prakaranavati parasmin purushe parasyam kashtayam. Manopi Vishaya Vikalpa, no, what is that? Tadjachet Shanta Atmani. Even that dissolve into Sushupti. Even that collective state, the entire state, the idea of state also, you dissolve into Sushupti. Means you are already the infinite consciousness, neither you are not a state. There is no state. There is neither coming and going. It is one infinite consciousness. See it as inseparable from the infinite consciousness. Shanta Atmani. Tadyached Shanta Atmani. Okay. That Mahat has to be dissolved into Advitiya Chaitanya Atma. Okay. Then you stay as that consciousness alone. That is Advitiya Chaitanya Atma. This is how he uses this mantra, Kashtayam Pratishtapaya. Tadevam purvaparalocanayam nastyatra paraparkalpitasya pradhanasya avakasha. Okay, that we leave it. The context is different. So here, this Kathopanishad mantra, useful for Nididhyasana, how the steps of Nididhyasana, from the sense organ level you go to the mind, mind is merged into conscious thought merged into large holistic whole thought, whole state, and the state is merged into Turiyatma, Sushupti consciousness. So then that means even the thought of merging also dissolves. Neither you come nor you go, neither you, that means all doings and everything will stop. There is only one infinite consciousness through and through. Okay. So this is Nididhyasana. So Atma Samstam Manakritva. There you understand that is a self-existing, self-shining Atma. You Atma Samstam Manakritva. Then the mind is kept in the Atma. Kept in the Atma means it is not keeping. Mind is understood as one with the Atma. Then Atma Samstam Manakritva Nakinchid apachintayet. Now you don't see Nakinchid apachintayet means once understood that you are a Sushupti Chaitanyam. Sushupti means infinite Chaitanyam Turiyam. Then again don't bring it into waking. That means there is no waking, there is no coming also, because the waking is already part of it. So waking doesn't exist outside the consciousness of deep sleep. Deep sleep is not a sleep, it is infinite. It is timeless, spaceless, ever-existing consciousness. Therefore, Atmaiva Sarvam, Atma Samstam Manakritva. Understand that consciousness alone is everything. Atma Samstam Manakritva, Atmaiva Sarvam. Bhashyakara says in the Gita Bhashya, Atma alone is everything. Natato anyat kinchidasti. There is nothing other than it. Everything is Atma means self-shining. Atma means not a thought. See, the word Atma is used not for something you think of. If you think of, that is not Atma. When all the thoughts, one who is aware of all the thoughts. Awareness is self-existing. You are not thinking the awareness. If you think, it is the mind. So, the awareness which is already there. Even the thought which you are thinking is already part of consciousness. The thought is already consciousness. Consciousness itself is not thought of. You cannot think of. That means there is no thinker-thought duality. It is just consciousness. Therefore, tato anyat kinchid asti. There is nothing other than me. That means you don't think of a thought, you don't think of something. The second the thought is merged into consciousness, there is only just consciousness. Ityevam Atma Samstam Manakritva. All thought is understood. The wave is understood as water. Atma Samstam Manakritva. The wave is, first thing is small waves are reduced into large waves. All large wave is reduced to infinite wave. Thought of infinity. Infinite wave means thought of infinity. Then thought of infinity is merged into infinity without thought. Waking state is thought of infinity. Okay. Waking state is thought of infinity. Then the thought of infinity is reduced to infinity without thought. The consciousness without thought. First is there is a thought of consciousness. Next there is only consciousness without thought. You are able to see that? That is Nididhyasana. Okay. So, tato anyat kinchidasi. There is nothing other than it. That means there is no thought other than consciousness. Ityevam Atma Samstam Manakritva na kinchidapi chintayet. Again, don't entertain any thought, because thoughts are already. Thought is only another form of consciousness. Therefore, there is no such thing called a thought. Thought is only a form of consciousness alone. That means it is consciousness only. Esha yogasya paramovadihi. This is the paramovadihi. This is the parakashta. Paramaha, highest end. It is the final end. of yoga. Yoga means nididhyasana. It is the final end of nididhyasana. Okay. Tatra evam atma samstam manah karvam pravritto yogi. While doing it, a person who has merged and discovered himself to be consciousness, it is over. But a person who is trying on the way, the thoughts you are merging into consciousness, seeing the waves as a part of conscious, water alone and there is no wave, there is no such thing called wave other than water. There is no thought other than consciousness. While trying, there are a little disturbance. Disturbance means thoughts spring. Even though you try to understand everything is consciousness, yet thoughts spring. At that time, he says, here he makes a suggestion to such a sadhaka. This 26th also is a part, 26th shloka we are reading. This is also part of nididhyasana. As I told you in the previous class, 24, 25, 26. These three shlokas talk of directly nididhyasana. Yato yato nischarati manaschanchala astiram. The mind by its very nature again springs from the consciousness. It tries to assume a thought. Whatever thought it tries to assume, that means mind springs and assumes a thought. Springing and assuming a thought, both are the same. That means if in fact, assuming a thought is mind. Mind assumes the thought, that should not be told. Thought is mind. That means the thoughts arise. Instead of remaining as consciousness, they form thoughts. If the thoughts keep forming, that means mind is rising. Mind is rising means mind is actually consciousness. Instead of remaining consciousness, it is assuming mind. It is assuming a thought instead of remaining consciousness. Then what happens? Yato yato nischarati. Whatever thought it entertains. Manaschanchala astiram. Mind by its very nature, chanchalam and astiram. Chanchalam is moving. Astiram, unstable. Mind by nature is unstable, restless, and keeps on assuming the thoughts. Therefore, such mind by its very nature, chanchalam and astiram mind, wherever it goes, that means whichever thought it entertains, and then bring from the thought and merge it back into consciousness. So he says that means whichever thought arises, understand that thought is nothing but consciousness alone. It is still arising because of ignorance, because it is not completely badhita. Therefore, the thought is arising. Thought arising means thought appears as if something additional to consciousness. Thought arising means what? Thought appears as if something other than consciousness. Each time a thought arises that it is something other than consciousness, again make a suggestion. Again point out that you are already consciousness. You are not something additional to consciousness. You are already consciousness. Already consciousness. Even that is consciousness. Let any thought arise. Yato yato nischarati. Whatever thought that arises, understand that thought to be already consciousness. Whatever thought arises, understand it to be pure existence. Okay? Any thought is only about limited existence. All limited existences are part of infinite existence. Any thought means limited existence. All limited existences are part of infinite existence, endless existence. Then all conscious thoughts are only limited conscious. Limited consciousness is thought. All limited consciousnesses are nothing but infinite consciousness. See, thought means two ways you can see. Either limited consciousness or limited existence. If you see it as a limited existence, merge it, understanding it as part of, as one with infinite existence. If it is a limited consciousness, understand it as the infinite consciousness. Therefore, all thoughts are merged into either pure existence or pure consciousness. Pure means what? A given thing is a thought, a given consciousness or a given existence. There is no given consciousness, there is no given existence. No given existence, no given thought. When the given thought, given idea is removed, it becomes infinite. That is called pure consciousness. Pure consciousness means what? It is infinite and a non-relational consciousness. A relational is a thought. It is a non-relational infinite. Non-relational infinite consciousness. Okay? Swatmatva apadanam. A non-relational consciousness. Relation means thought. There is no seer seen. There is no knower-known duality, knower-known relationship. It is just a principle of consciousness. Just a consciousness, self-existing on its own, effortless consciousness, choiceless consciousness. Okay? Effortless, choiceless. You just make these auto-suggestions. Effortless, choiceless consciousness. Okay? Effortless, choiceless, self-consciousness. That's why we call self-shining. What is self-shining? Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha means there is no choice, there is no will. You are not consciously entertaining a thought. If you are using will, a thought arises. A thought is formed. A thought is not self-consciousness. Thought is a consciousness. Self-consciousness is thoughtless. That means choiceless consciousness, effortless consciousness. Effort means a limited thought, a given thought, a relational thought. A relational consciousness is thought. Non-relational is pure consciousness. A relational thought is, or a will. But when you use will, a thought arises. But the choiceless is, you are not using the will. The will dissolves. It is choiceless. When you choose, there is a thought. So, when the choice also dissolves itself into the choicelessness. You don't dissolve it. You just watch. You come to understand the choice is already part of choicelessness. Because you don't do anything. The choice itself becomes understood as part of choicelessness. The choice becomes understood. It is understood as part of choicelessness. The effort is already included in the effortlessness. Choice is already included in the choicelessness. Choice is included in the choicelessness. Effortless, choiceless. This is what we call the self-existing. Swayam Siddha Swaprakasha. Vedantic terms, Swayam Siddha Swaprakasha is translated as self-shining, self-existing, self-evident, which can be interpreted as choiceless. Self-existing, self-shining can be explained as choiceless, effortless. Choiceless doesn't mean is not advising you to use your choice. Choicelessness is not another choice. Okay? Being free from will is not another will. Being free from will is not another will. Choicelessness is not another choice. Okay? Choicelessness is not another choice. Choice itself merges into the choicelessness. You just allow it. You just watch. Itself merges. You don't do it. It is a step where it automatically takes place. Automatically takes place. It merges itself without your will. If you use the will, you are remaining in the mind alone. You are holding on to the thought. You don't hold on to the thought. Then the thought is already consciousness. That means you don't make a choice. How can you say you don't make a choice? Not making a choice itself is a choice. You only make a suggestion, let there be no choice. Let there be no choice. You just make a suggestion and leave it. the choice itself merges into choiceless. Otherwise, you will be end up doing choice. You are end up using the will. You only make a suggestion that let there be no will. Let me see whatever is there. Whatever is there is there. Let it be whatever is there. Let there be no choice. Let there be no will. The will naturally merges on its own. The will automatically merges into the choiceless consciousness. Okay. Therefore, the shloka says, a beautiful shloka, this 26th. Yato yato nischarati manas chanchalam astiram tatastato niyamyaitad atmanyeva vasham nayet. Whatever the thought arises, see, even the rising thought is water. See, whenever a wave rises, see that it is already water. That means the rising has no meaning. The wave rising is also water. That means there is no rising. How do you dissolve the rising? By understanding as a water. Has the wave moved away from water? Has the wave moved away from water? Is it additional to water? Then what do you mean by rising? Rising means what? Rising means, has it moved away from water? Is it additional to water? When it is not additional to water, the wave rising remains. See, wave rises, rising also remains water. Rising is also water, before rising also water. Before wave rises, water. Rising is also water. Then what does the rising mean? Oh, rising becomes meaningless. Similarly, thought rising is not additional to consciousness. Thought rising is not additional to consciousness. It is not moving away from consciousness. Thought, before the thought is consciousness. Thought rising is also consciousness. Then thought has no meaning. Thought has no meaning because there is no thought. When before thought is consciousness, thought rising is also consciousness. That means thought has no meaning. That means there is no thought. It is also consciousness. There is only consciousness. So this is Vasham Naye. So he concludes Nididhyasana. In fact, 6th chapter, purpose of 6th chapter is to teach Nididhyasana. He started with Karma Yoga. After Karma Yoga, mind, the crude mind, externalized mind becomes a little relaxed and inward. Once it gets inwardness, then when it needs to do Vedanta Shravana Manana. After doing Shravana Manana, it has to do Nididhyasana. Then the lifestyle is taught. Don't interact with people too much and the interaction should be spontaneous and don't be too much of painful emotional reactions. Don't be reactful interactions. Have a simple life, natural life. First he told the lifestyle, then the food, then the waking and sleeping. All these things, the lifestyle he taught. Don't make any emotional relationship, emotional responsibilities, ambitions, tension causing things. That is called sannyasa, he told. Live a simple life of a natural life without any specific responsibilities and ambitions. Specific responsibility, ambition is worldly life. Sannyasa means not having any specific ambitions, specific agendas. No specific agenda, no specific ambitions to achieve something, either personal ambition or social ambition. Neither personal agenda nor social agenda. Just living a life like a baby lives, moment to moment. That is sannyasa. Therefore, first he told sannyasa lifestyle. Lifestyle is not ambitious, not stressful life, not reacting life. Just living a natural, spontaneous life, basic minimum life. Then he talked about seat of meditation, how to physically sit. Then how to mentally. prana, then the mind, relax the mind, make it inward. Up to this external preparation for Nididhyasana. Then the real Nididhyasana is spoken 24, 25, 26. These shlokas we have been discussing in number of classes. I think 5, 7 or 10 classes we have discussed Nididhyasana. So with this 26th, Nididhyasana is complete. Okay, the yogasya phalam, when the Nididhyasana culminates, you understand yourself to be Brahman. Then whether your mind is really dissolved into Brahman, the mind and the world, entire mind and world has really dissolved into Brahman. Have you understood? Are you established yourself into Brahman? Have you understood? Have you discovered yourself to be Brahman? If you have discovered, then this will be the Lakshanas. Now from the 27th onward, he gives the Lakshanas, Yoga Phalam. Up to what? Yoga Phalam, I think Yoga Phalam, no, 27th to 31. Yoga Phalam means the result, I think 32. Up to 32, 27 to 32 shlokas, how that culmination of Nididhyasana is discovering your Brahmatvam. You already become Brahman, you become means you are already understand as Brahman. When that understanding takes place, when that intuition of Brahmatvam takes place, that Brahmanubhava takes place, how will be that? How will be that state? He describes the Brahmanubhava phalam. Phalam means the result of Brahmanubhava. Why describing? With the help of it, you understand, am I somewhere missing, or have I really completely understood as Brahman? So in doing Nididhyasana, somewhere mind will be somewhere little bit still missing. So that these symptoms can help you to check whether my discovery is complete, or I have to do little more Nididhyasana. Little more Nididhyasana. So to check your own Anubhava, from the 27 to 31, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 5 shlokas. 3 shlokas talks of Nididhyasana. Then these 5 shlokas talks of the Nididhyasana result. That is the Brahmatvam Anubhava. With this, with 31st, 6 chapters should actually be over. But at the end, Arjuna gets 2 doubts regarding the same Nididhyasana life. So 2 doubts he raises and Sri Krishna answers just to clarify some doubts about it. But actual Nididhyasana is over with the 26th, and 27 to 31st is only explaining the result of it, the fruit, the state of Brahmatvam. That again is describing for whose sake? Not for the other person to judge that whether he is Jnani or not, whether he has understood Brahman or not. Not for that, but for checking for oneself, is my Nididhyasana complete? Is my thought completely dissolved into consciousness, or still I have a thought? Just to see the difference on the nimisha. Difference. So this 5 shlokas talk of the phalam of Brahmat. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.